Act 5, Scene 6 is the shortest scene of the play. It's only 10 lines long. And we see Malcolm and his troops have finally reached Dunsinane under the leafy screens of the branches. And the prophecy of the witches where Dunsinane, the Birnam Wood has come to Dunsinane is finally coming true. The strong sense of movement and the advancing forces has really come through by the quick flitting of the scenes between Macbeth's castle and the English forces. And we see this final moment where the battle is about to happen. Perhaps the most important moment in this scene is Malcolm's speech where he says, "You, worthy uncle, shall with my cousin, your right noble son, lead our first battle." And it's important because contextually, political alliances were formed through families and marriages. It's the way that people were able to build power and influence in the Elizabethan and Jacobean court. Remember that James I was the second cousin of Elizabeth, and his mother was Mary, Queen of Scots. His grandmother was Henry VII's sister. So political alliances here are really significant, and Shakespeare is reflecting on these contextual points. He talks about worthy Macduff, and it is just worth pausing ever so briefly to talk about this two words here, worthy Macduff, because we have seen this before. As we led up to the battle, we had the report from the captain in Act 1, Scene 2, when we talked about for brave Macbeth, for worthy Macbeth, for noble Macbeth. And we almost have a history repeating itself here, because we are now being referred to from the potentially King of Scotland calling one of his lieutenants who's fighting for him worthy. So just consider that choice of adjective. Why call Macduff worthy? Could it potentially foreshadow things to come? Or is it a genuine reflection that soldiers who earn their might on the battlefield are considered very politically worthy? And Cyward says, "Fare you well, do we but find the tyrant's power tonight? Let us be beaten if we cannot fight." This is an all for nothing situation. They are going all out. They're either going to slay Macbeth or they will be killed trying. And Macduff gets the final words of the scene. He says, "Make all our trumpets speak, give them all breath, these clamorous harbingers of blood and death." And there is that prophetic sense to this. The harbingers, the bringers of bloods and death. Remember, Lady Macbeth, we heard her say, the raven himself is hoarse that croaks the fatal entrance of Duncan under my battlements. This idea of things are coming through from a prophetic tone. These things were made to happen. And despite it being only 10 lines, there is things that you can do to revise the scene. Obviously, draw the picture, surround it with quotations. Think about capturing the moment Macduff charges into the castle. What's going through his mind? He's ready for this. He is in it. Whether he wins or loses, he is going into this battle and he is going to fight it. If you were directing it, how would you have these lines delivered? How would you have Macbeth? Would you have him literally straining at the, ready to go? Would you have him more reserved and cold? Think about your characterization here. And then if you want to be more creative, imagine you are Macduff. Remember, you've got nothing left to live for. This villain has slaughtered your child and your family and your wife. How would you have him? What would you say? What's going through Macduff's mind in this moment? Although it's only 10 lines, it's so important that you nail down this scene.